today we have Fiona with us. Hi, Fiona.
Hi Dev, how you doing?
I'm good, doing well, and thanks for coming in today. I would like you to start this podcast with sharing your background and experience, and link it to your individual purpose.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Well, I grew up in Kalgoorlie and Lancelin, so a country kid. My dad was a policeman and my mum was a public servant. So I'll link back to that in a minute. I came to the city to attend high school, and from grade 7, so when I was still in primary school, I knew that I wanted to be a physio and I wanted to be working with children. So I worked really hard at school, and that was because, I knew my purpose. I knew what I wanted to do. And if you think back to my mum and dad, from my earliest days, there was that notion of service to the community in my family, and for me as a teenager, a strong sense of purpose. So my journey, I talk about it in terms of my different careers. So my first career was as a physiotherapist. So I graduated from Curtin Uni in 1990 and had a range of roles over the next 12 years. My first appointment was at Bunbury Regional Hospital, and then I worked for Irabina, which no longer exists now. Then Rocky Bay, School Age Therapy Services, PMH, and finally ended up at DSC in the Medical and Specialist Services Division. And during that time, I began working as a clinician and then started working in more managerial roles, and finally at DSC was in a director role in the public service. And so over that time, I was also really involved in my professional association. So that had a range of leadership roles that were around professional development, so helping people be their best selves, but also around governance of the organisation. So you'll go to see, as I tell the rest of my story, how it kind of all has been building a picture. And I honestly can say that I have so many beautiful memories of the time that I spent working with children and their families, and to see some of those children now grown up and doing amazing things, it is truly fabulous to think back to those early days. My second career was as a mum, and I had my son Samuel, he was born in 2002, and then my daughter Meg, who was born in 2005. So they are now 20 and 17, so young adults themselves, and I don't know where that time had gone. But I knew once I had my own children that I didn't want to go back to working full time, and I didn't feel emotionally equipped to go back to doing clinical work anymore, because I had, I wanted two things. I wanted a balance in my life, but I also recognised that once I had my own children, I'd always worn my heart on my sleeve, but it was amplified after I had my own family. So then I started to explore how I could stay involved with children and their families, but do that in a way that actually worked for me. So I was fairly intentional about how I wanted to move into my third career, which was as a non-executive director. So back to my involvement with the professional association, the Physio Association, that was really my first opportunity to practice governance. And then when I was in the early stages of my maternity leave, I was chairing Kalparan, which is a small not-for-profit that was based at the Children's Hospital.